Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Jamaatul Muslimin, our viewers at home, those on Smart Bilal, as well as live masjid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we are most fortunate to have Moulana Wasief the Vries in our midst. Inshallah, he'll be giving a talk, a very intriguing title, Islam, Ramadan, your personal trainer. And inshallah, we look forward to hearing what Moulana has to say. Just a brief note on Moulana: he is a former teacher at AL-Ž훠BÂ, as well as an author on a book called The Lantern. And for those who are on YouTube, you can see this is a book called The Lantern. It addresses the mental health from an Islamic perspective, and says it's a cure for anxiety and depression from Quran and Hadith. MashaAllah, if you'd like your personal copy of this book, you can see me after the talk, inshallah, or you can contact Moulana. Moulana also has two exciting other books that he will be releasing soon, inshallah. The madhaib, comparison between Hanafi and Shafi, and an appreciation for the two madhaib, as well as the fiqh of social media. So inshallah, we look forward to those two books coming out in the near future, inshallah. We welcome Sheikh Moulana Wasief the Vries. Tafadal, Sheikh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم وبعد. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم وجعلنا مما يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Respected elders, beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Firstly, we acknowledge that all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, our nourisher and our sustainer, the one who gives life and the one who causes death, the one who gives hidayah and the one who will take us to account for everything we've done in this world on the day of Qiyamah. We send the choicest peace and blessings upon the one we love more than anything in this world, more than our offspring, more than our parents. And with that is a witness that we have through Iman, one that was sent as a mercy to the entire world, a mercy that transcends place, a mercy that transcends time. It transcends the boundaries of the Arabian Peninsula, and it touches all corners of the earth. A mercy that transcends the boundaries of time, which extends past his 23 years as of a career of being a prophet. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, mab'uthan rahmatan lil alameen. Allahumma salli alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Wa ba'd. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the topic that we have today is Ramadan, your personal trainer. Ramadan, your personal trainer. So the topic is quite broad, so we have to give a slight definition to the topic so that we can focus on specifics and not go sideline to generalities. So Ramadan, your personal trainer. Ramadan, we know, the 9th month of our Islamic calendar. The word Ramadan comes from the word Ramd. It comes from the word Ramd, which means to burn. Now, in terms of the naming of this month, there is two opinions, one slightly weaker than the other. The first opinion is that this month is called Ramadan because it burns away the sins. Takfiru dhunub. Going through this month of Ramadan is a cleansing process, and when we come out of Ramadan, then we have no sin, and thus it's called Ramadan because it burns away the sins. This view, although it's a beautiful view, it's slightly far-fetched, because the naming of the months was placed down by the Jahiliyyah in the dark times of the Arabs, and when they placed the months down, they were void of Iman. As a matter of fact, we know that Ramadan was only made compulsory for fasting in the second year after Hijrah, which means the Prophet ﷺ, for 13 years, he was in Mecca, so 53, and then he goes to Medina, and 2 years after that, at the age of 55, then Ramadan becomes compulsory. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Fasting has been prescribed to you, like it has been prescribed to everyone that came before you, to attain the level of taqwa. So these Arabs, when they place the names down of the month, the Ramadan at that time happened to be in a hot time, in the middle of the summer, and this is where they got the name from as Ramadan. So this is the more correct opinion as to the naming of the month. However, years later, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would receive wahi, starting from Iqra and moving through his 23 years as a prophet, and at the age of 55, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ, that fasting has been prescribed to you, and we have the month of Ramadan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His divine knowledge, was well aware that this month, even though the Jahiliyyah has named this because of a hot month, this would be the month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would designate for the month of Ramadan. So Ramadan is extremely important in terms of our pathway to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to our journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's extremely important for our journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You find that ibadah, there's a weekly ibadah like Jumu'ah. So we have the hadith, one Jumu'ah to the next Jumu'ah, kafaratun baynahuma, it wipes away the sins, minor sins. And then you have a daily ibadah like Salah. You have monthly types of ibadah, 13th, 14th and 15th, sunnah days of fasting, and other various sunnah actions like cupping, etc. And then you have a yearly recommended ibadah, which is Umrah. Some scholars recommend that you should perform Umrah once, like Imam Malik, he recommends that you perform it once a year. Even though Umrah can be performed at any time. Then you have that which is a once in a lifetime, which is Hajj. So Ramadan comes in the midst of this, and it is a very important ibadah because it comes once a year. So from the one Ramadan to the next Ramadan, 11 months is going to pass, which means we need to take enough zad, enough provisions from the 1 month that will last us up until the next month, so we can get another boost and a boost until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides when is the last boost. You find something very strange, just on a side note, you find many people passing away in the month just before Ramadan. Very strange occurrence. Imams will attest to this, that lots of janazas are performed just before the month of Ramadan. This is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His divine mercy, has declared that in the year 2024, for this particular individual, that would be the last Ramadan. But through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's divine mercy, He will go right up until the tippy of Ramadan, right up until the tip of Ramadan, so that he can get more salah, more zakah, more fasting, etc. Until his books are closed finally. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us have beautiful books. Ameen. So that is Ramadan. We know the primary function is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Sometimes this is not mentioned enough, but we will mention it today inshallah. A taqwa is attained how? We should attain taqwa, but how is taqwa actually attained? Is it just something that is taken away from Ramadan just because we have fasted? No. There is a particular manner in which we should conduct ourselves through this passage of time. Also, just one more thing before we move on to the next part of the topic, discussing the heading. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ فِي اخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, indeed in the alternation of the night and day. لَآيَةٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, there are signs for those who have intellect. There are signs for those who have intellect. Ulul Bab, they use the intellect for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created it for. So you have this huge heavenly bodies rotating. The earth is rotating. So we get our 24-hour cycle roughly to get a day. Then you have this earth rotating around the sun. So these heavenly bodies is rotating. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly draws our attention to these heavenly bodies. صوموا لرؤيته, fast when you see the moon. وأفطروا لرؤيته, and break your fast when you see the moon again for the next month. So the idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drawing our focus to these heavenly bodies, how do we attach ourselves to the movement of the heavenly bodies? We've just attached it now. We just perform dhuhr. Because the earth rotated to a certain degree, and it is in relation to the sun to a certain degree. So the entire universe has announced to us here in Cape Town that dhuhr has set in. Just like the entire universe will announce that Ramadan has set in. So how do we attach ourselves to these heavenly bodies and take the signs for what it is? By connecting our ibadah to these heavenly bodies. So we get the various time zones that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed to us. So we should be very aware of that. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed bonus times. So this is Ramadan. The next part of the topic was your personal trainer. There's many things we can say about a personal trainer, but we don't want to focus on that. But the personal trainer will come about in two things. One would go to a personal trainer for many things, but two things generally. Number one is to rehabilitate ourselves. Maybe we done sport or whatever we were doing, or just we want to go on with our daily lives, but we suffered some type of an injury. And we need to utilize and activate certain muscles. And we need that muscles to be enhanced or to be rehabilitated because it was injured. So we go to a personal trainer, say, my back is sore, I can't stand straight anymore. And the personal trainer says, look here, your core needs to be strong, or this or that, and you need to do more cardio to lose weight, or whatever the personal trainer is going to say. And he will have a certain routine that he will give to us. Each one, the individual routine to rehabilitate ourselves. Another point, another reason we go see a personal trainer is to strengthen our certain muscle groups. Certain muscle groups, because we will need to activate that for challenges or tasks that we may face in the future. So sportsmen will need to, like runners, obviously their legs and keep their weight down, etc. So they will go to a personal trainer to enhance that particular muscle group. So that when the challenge comes, they are equipped to deal with that challenge. When they have to do the task that they need to do, their rehabilitation, because of the routine that they have been given, they are able to do that. So that's more on the physical side of things. Ramadan is a personal trainer in what sense? Ramadan also comes about for two things. It will rehabilitate those times we were neglectful about the tasks and the duties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His love for us, has requested of us. Out of love, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed certain actions. He has made certain actions recommended. He has made certain actions unlawful. Allah has made certain actions compulsory. And through our negligence, we were disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that tarnishes our soul. That tarnishes our heart. Now we need to go through a rehabilitation process. And constantly through the year we are going through some type of rehabilitation in terms of our salah and our zakah and istighfar. But Ramadan comes in a very, very special way. Ramadan gives you a prize that sometimes takes years. This whole idea of being forgiven, it's not an easy thing. Forgiveness is just, I turn to you, Allah. It's not as easy as that. Tawbah is a journey, and it is a very, very, very hard journey. There's various levels that one needs to break through. Being regretful and showing remorse that comes from the heart. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows if it is true. Somebody caught us stealing. So now we are embarrassed in front of the community. Now we make tawbah, not because of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but because of our status amongst the people. So that is not a true type of tawbah. So Ramadan, it gives us an opportunity to rehabilitate ourselves. And secondly, Ramadan, more importantly, it comes and it strengthens us. The spiritual muscles that we will require out of Ramadan. So we can face the challenges and the onslaught of shaitan and his soldiers as they attack. And shaitan has many forces, and he attacks us on many fronts. And every time, and every year, every 10 years or so, he brings a new type of attack. You'll find that there is a misunderstanding between the older generation and the younger generation, and that is always with regards to technology. So when that younger generation is going to grow up, they're also going to have offspring, and they will find themselves a bit detached because there's a new type of technology. It's the plot of shaitan. So you can't hand over the banner. You can't say, look here my son, I did this, and this is how I got through these challenges. So now shaitan makes us confused. You don't even know what challenges your children are facing. And if you do, it's just basic. You don't know the emotions that they are going through. The onslaught of shaitan. He isolates the sheep and then he attacks. He pushes the family to a pressure point. So everybody's eating in different places. Son is in a different place. Daughter is in a different place. Father is busy. Isolate them first. Now we'll launch a very specific attack for the son. A very specific attack for the daughter. We'll get the father in a certain way. We'll get the mother in a certain way. And when they come together, we'll leave them with something that they cannot get along together. Shaitan, this is his plot. So how are we going to face that onslaught? Just waltzing through life as if nothing is attacking us. Shaitan is adu, فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًا. Shaitan is an enemy. فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًا. Take shaitan as an open enemy. He hates us. He's jealous of us. He wants to see us burn. He does not want to see us enter the gates of Rayyan. He wants to see us fall down. May Allah protect us, Ameen. So that was just a gist of the topic, so we can focus on specifics and not go over to generalities. So I want to speak about 3 points in the next couple of minutes. I'm going to aim to end at about 15:15, inshallah. That leaves me with about half an hour. 3 points I want to focus on. The first point is going to be weakness. The second point is a hard heart. And the third point is tawbah. But each of this I want to relate to Ramadan and how Ramadan will be a personal trainer for all of these 3 points. So firstly, let's look at weakness. Weakness, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, it's a powerful concept to understand. It's a very, very powerful concept to understand. By understanding weakness, we can become strong. Through our weakness, we can become strong and we can understand. It is not that we are old and we don't understand what our children is going through. It's an enemy we need to attack. We don't need to understand all these things. We just need to know who is our enemy and who is our protector. So what do we mean by weakness? Firstly, when it comes to weakness, there is a true weakness and there is a false weakness. Let's first discuss a false weakness. In many places and in many stories we can choose in the Quran, but the one that I've chosen is the story of ЩɁعәйb alayhi salam. ЩÚعәйb calls his people constantly, like all other prophets, to Tawheed and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and turn away from all idols and turn away from all forms of idolatry. So eventually they respond to ЩÚعәйb and they say, Ya ЩÚعәйb, oh ЩÚعәйb, ما نفقه, we don't understand كثيرا مما تقول, we don't understand many of what you are saying. You are just speaking nonsense. You've been blabbering for way too long. وَإِنَّا لَنَرَاكَ, and in fact we actually see you فِينَا ضَعِيفًا, we see you as ضعيف, we see you as weak. According to our perception of you, understand this, O ЩÚعәйb, you are blabbering, you're speaking a lot of nonsense, nobody understands what you are saying, and understand that you are very weak. And then they even explain why he is weak. وَلَوْلَا رَهْطُكَ, if it wasn't for your clan, because this is what they see as strength. What family do you belong to? Where do you come from? This is what will give you strength. So they see ЩÚعәйb alayhi salam and they say, if it wasn't for your clan, لَرَجَمْنَاكَ, we will give you the most humiliating punishment we can. We will kill you in the most humiliating way. We will mass murder you by stoning you to death. But your family is protecting you. That's why we're going to leave you alone. So this is perception, and it's a false perception of what is weakness. They're seeing ЩÚعәйb as weak. Today we see many people and groups is weak. Somebody trying to learn the Quran, a child, how are you going to get through life? How are you going to support your family? You're going to be weak. Go to on a macro scale, the Palestinians, these people speaking nonsense constantly, shouting, making noises. If it wasn't for the world, we would just bomb them out of the existence because they are weak. So this is a wrong perception of what weakness is. And we can go to various other stories of Talut and Jalut, where you see strength in a physical force. I'll bring your attention to an incident that occurred in the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, I'm sure you're aware of this, where he was trying to break a piece of twig for a miswak, and the wind uncovered his legs, and the Sahaba started laughing because his legs were very, very thin. So they started laughing. In our community, sometimes we do that as well. We see somebody with very thin legs and we'll call him Bina or something like that. So they're looking at Abdullah and they're laughing, and the Prophet ﷺ asking, Ma adhakakum, what is making you laugh? And they told the Prophet, like, you see, look at his feet, look at his legs. Then the Prophet ﷺ taught them something. That legs there, that two larijlain Ibn Mas'ud, the legs of Ibn Mas'ud, athqal, it has more weight. Yawm al-Qiyamah, in the day of Qiyamah, min Uhud, in the mountains of Uhud. Powerful man, extremely powerful, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. But what they are not seeing, the true strength of him. In another narration, it's not the two legs, it's just the one leg of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And Uhud is not just one mountain, it's a series of mountains behind there as well. So this is a false perception of what weakness is. But what I want to focus on today, and what I want to bring your attention to, that will empower us, so that Ramadan can be a personal trainer to us, is true weakness. This true weakness is a verse, very strange verse. If you think about it on the surface, it does not make sense. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Yuridu Allahu, Allah wants a yukhaffifa ankum. Allah wants to lighten the load for us. He wants to make things easy for us. وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. And mankind has been created weak. Which means in the creation of mankind, Allah has instilled a weakness that we cannot come away from. There's a weakness inside of each and every one of us. And that weakness, we can never come away from that. If we are insan, if we are human beings, then we have this weakness inside of us. So firstly, it doesn't make sense on the surface, because Allah says, we want to lighten your burden. We want to lighten your load. But we have created you weak. It would have made more sense if Allah had said, Yuridullahu ayyukhaffifa ankum, Allah wants to lighten the burden. وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ قَوِيًّا. And Allah has created us strong. That would make more sense. If we were strong, then we can face the difficulties in life better. We don't need to sleep so much. We don't need so much food. We don't need so much water. We can go on. If we decide we want to perform tahajjud the whole night, sleep won't overtake us. If we want to fast the entire year, hunger won't overtake us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to make things easy, but He made us weak. So what is the secret in this weakness? Firstly, let's understand this weakness properly, and then we'll try to understand what is the wisdom of these weaknesses. These weaknesses, these three weaknesses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instilled in us. The first weakness that we have is the nafs. The first weakness is the nafs. Now when we speak about the nafs, before we speak about the nafs, we need to speak about the heart. When we speak about the heart in the Quran and in terms of Sharia, we do not refer to this muscle that is pumping blood to the rest of the body. This is not what we are focusing on. This is not what is intended. What is focused what is intended by the heart in terms of Quran in terms of a hadith, is a spiritual heart. Now to make it easy, we'll make an analogy. The spiritual heart is a battleground. The spiritual heart is a battleground. That's what it is. Each and every one of us, we have a space within inside of us that is a battleground. It is like a film that is light sensitive. Another analogy. Whatever that light is exposed, whatever that film is exposed to, it will grab that image. You know, in the olden days they had that cameras with a negative, so the lens opens. And when the lens opens, there's a picture that goes onto the light sensitive film, and it captures it on a negative. You know, then you have to go develop your photos. So that's how the heart is. It captures whatever is sent to the heart. Or it's like a battleground, good and evil. If good wins, then the side of good will be evident. If bad wins, the side of bad will be evident. So, what is the two groups that is fighting? We have something that is a self-destructive mechanism within us, which is called the nafs. This is your negative force. The self-destructive mechanism. Allah has placed that within us as a weakness, and we need to understand why. Firstly, how does this work? This nafs, right? This nafs, an-nafs la-amaratun bisu, and the various other categories of nafs, it calls us, firstly, it's a good thing in a way, because it calls us for survival. The nafs will tell you, hey, I'm hungry. It's time for me to eat. Feed me, or you're going to die. I need to eat right now. So you're going through the day, you're working, and the nafs will say, hey, I'm thirsty now. Give me some food, or give me some drink. And the nafs will say, hey, look at that's a nice picture. Take me there. Stop the car quickly, I want to look at that. Or the nafs will say, stop walking, look that direction, I want to see. So the nafs has these messages that it sends to us. The problem with the nafs is, it doesn't stop. It is like an animal, it's like a beast. The more you feed it, and it's like an untrained dog. That's what it is, like an untrained vicious dog. You know, every time the dog barks, you just feed it. It can eat wherever it wants to eat. So what happens with the nafs, the more you feed it, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, and it wants to push the limits constantly. That is why when someone makes a sin, it's not the sin that's a problem. If you looked, that's not a problem. If you did something wrong, it's still not a problem. If you stole something, it's still not a problem. I'm talking about in the eyes of Allah. If you did something wrong, it's not a problem. You can make tawbah and Allah will forgive you and you go on. The worst thing about a sin is, it makes the second time easier. That's the worst thing about the sin. The first time they stole something, they felt very bad. Second time it got easier. Then, he lies so much, حَتَّى يُكْتَبُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَذَّابٌ. The Prophet ﷺ says a person will lie so much that he's written by Allah as a liar. It starts with one lie and not proper tawbah being made. So this nafs, it wants to go over the limit. It wants to eat that which is halal and that which is not halal. It wants to eat after buka, but it also wants to eat before buka. It wants to eat before iftar, but it also wants to eat after iftar. It also wants to eat at the time of dhuhr. It doesn't stop. It's constantly pulling us. This nafs is constantly pulling us. We want to look at that which is beautiful because it is signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, it pulls us to that which is haram also. Constantly this voice inside of us, and it doesn't stop. This is inside of us. This is the nafs. Inna nafsa la ammaratun bisu. Either Yusuf alayhi salam said this, or Zulaykha said this, that the nafs will command you constantly with evil. Therefore, don't trust yourself. When you are making a decision, especially when you are young, and you have an untrained soul, don't trust yourself. Daddy, I want to get married. Time is right. Got my car, got this, I want to get married. But I want to get married now. Daddy said, no, I don't think it's a good idea because, you got a temper. What did Daddy know? What did Daddy know? Daddy know nothing. This is a new era. Things is different now. Daddy's time it was so. I always find it interesting how, our children today, they'll say, yeah, but, with regards to the marriage thing, yeah, but Daddy got married, like our parents got, when they were very young, 14, 15, 16, they get married, But so they'll take one thing out of their life, say, yeah, we want to be like that. What about the other things? They cleaned every night. They helped their mommy. They left school to work at home. They couldn't get a proper education because daddy was struggling. What about those things? It comes with the whole package. You don't get to cherry pick, this one. So the nafs, the daddy says no, and the child says, what do daddy know? Already showing anger. If you can't show respect to your parents, how are you going to show respect to your wife? When the parents comes right under the if you cannot, there's the saying, and I find it to be true, life will be to you like you are to your mother, life is going to treat you like you've treated your mother. And so those who have parents that are alive, you got 2 doors of Jannah still open. Don't let that door close, except that you went through the door, right? So this is the nafs. Let's put that aside. We can understand it's a weakness. So when somebody comes, look, I feel this, I feel that, don't trust him, and they shouldn't trust themselves. That's why we must make mashura. You want to buy a car, speak to your friend, must I buy this car? You want to buy a house, speak to someone, because it might just be that you're not looking at something and the nafs wants to destroy you. That's the first weakness that we have. Remember the verse, Allah wants to lighten your load, but He has created you weak. So why the weakness, Ya Allah? Why not take this nafs away? Take it away from us. Then we won't have inclinations to do that which is haram. It would have been better. We would have been stronger. The second weakness that we all face is the shaitan. Now shaitan, aduwan, is an enemy. فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًا. Take shaitan as an enemy. Shaitan hates us. There's a being out there that hates you. He hates you so much that he wants you to burn. And he doesn't want you to burn for a little while. He wants you to burn forever. He wants to see you sad. He wants to see you sad because you can say, Ya Allah, why did you do this to me? I performed salah and now you did this to me. He wants to see you lose hope. He wants to see you in despair so they can walk the path to Jahannam. May Allah protect us. So we have an adu which is shaitan. The thing is with shaitan is he is able to make waswasa. This word waswasa means to whisper. Shaitan is able to communicate to us in a manner that it's not with the ears, it's not sound waves. He's able to take this nafs that we have. The shaitan playing around is a nafs. He loves that. So he takes this nafs and he attaches it to something that is haram. That is why those who are successful, وَنَهَا النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ, they stop the nafs from going to their desires. So shaitan say, okay, you got the nafs, that's your desire. How do I put these two together? Shaitan is also relatively clever. He's stupid, but he's relatively clever. He knows that he were to come in his true ugly form, and he were to command you, oh ye, go to hell, please. Nobody's going to listen to him. So he has to plot and plan. Small things. So give the nafs its gratification. Instant gratification. Slowly. I want to see this, I want it now. This phone is too slow. It took 2 seconds. When I press it, it's taking too long. Need a new phone. Need a new car. I need instant gratification. We're not going to buy by Nando's anymore because last week when we ordered, they took 10 minutes extra. We had to wait 10 minutes extra for our food to come. Nando's is a bad restaurant. I'm not saying anything about Nando's, right? So the instant gratification, we need this now. Who's speaking? That's the nafs. The nafs is speaking, right? So shaitan knows this. So now you ban this and you ban that. My brother, he told me he's going to come fetch me. What does he think of me? It's 2:30. He said he's going to be at 2 o'clock. Phone him and say, look here, don't come. I don't need you to fetch me. Don't fetch me. I don't need you anymore. I don't need my mother and my father to drop me here. I got my own car. They took too long. My nafs was very disappointed. Right? So you get people out there just looking after their nafs. So how do I feel? And the West promotes this. You have to look in the mirror in the morning and you have to say, I'm that guy. I'm going to win. Ultimate kibr constantly. Constantly. So gratification is for the nafs. So shaitan knows this. So he whispers. So Allah says, that is females. I've made them attractive to you. If I did not make them attractive, they won't be attractive. So I'm going to put an attraction in you. Right? So don't look, right? I will give you something to look at, but don't look at that. Same thing with Adam. There's Jannah, you got the whole Jannah. But don't eat that tree. Just don't eat from that tree. So this is what we have. So shaitan, he finds a way to dupe Adam. He told Adam, you're going to be an angel, because he knows that Adam, alayhi salam, he doesn't want to disobey Allah ever. So the angels are like that. So he told Nabi Adam, you're going to be an angel. Because Adam's desires is to not disobey Allah. So he said, eat this, you're going to be an angel. Or you're going to live in here forever. So who wants to leave Jannah? Because they are in the countenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy constantly. So Adam ate from the tree, that is why he ate from the tree. So all of us have desires within ourselves, and shaitan, he whispers, look there, listen to this, drive that, choose that friend. Don't choose this friend. Go onto that website, go onto this website. Make sure you're alone and face the door, so when they come in, you can just swipe it away. Make sure that the phone is locked, so your wife can't check what you're looking at, or the wife can't check what the husband is looking at. Constantly, constant bombardment, whispering, and he never ever leaves you alone. Right? In Tarawih, why standing so long? You can just make 8 rakats. You can make 2 rakats. It's not sunnah. It's just sunnah. You can just stay at home. You don't have to go to mosque for Isha. It's just 4 rakats. You don't have to make the 2. Constantly whispering. Why are you eating so little? Eat more. Why are you sleeping so little? Sleep more. Enjoy yourself. So shaitan's playing ground is the nafs. Right? His playing ground is the nafs. Now imagine you making the nafs strong, and you invite shaitan in your house. What type of a person and soul will you have? The third weakness. Remember again, yuridullahu an yukhaffifa ankum. Allah wants to make us, Allah wants to make things easy for us. But it seems like it's just getting worse. Because now, number one, we got this nafs thing happening inside of us, which is a self-destructive mechanism that we can't even listen to anymore. And secondly, there's shaitan that doesn't leave us alone wherever we are, even in our salah. The third weakness that we have is ibtila'at, is this dunya. This dunya will present various scenarios to you. The first scenario, you don't have enough money to make it the end of this month. You just don't. So what are you going to do? First thing is stress. It's the first thing you must do. Stress, make yourself tired. You don't have time for all this nonsense. Just leave the masjid, leave the lectures, leave Quran reciting. Just chase after this dunya. You don't have enough. And if you got enough for this month, who's said you're going to be okay next month? Your business might be okay today, but who's going to secure your business next month? What about next year? And if everything's secure for the next 10 years, but then what about your children? You need to stress. What you doing here? What you doing in the mosque? There's stuff you need to put on the table. You're simply wasting your time. So now we start stressing with this dunya because we have financial demands on us. Now the wife needs things and the husband also needs things. Constantly. We need to give nafaqah. Look at the children, they need nafaqah. We look at ourselves, we need things, constantly need. And we must just pay and pay and pay and pay. Life is stressful. And then when I finally thought I'm going to relax, then I got COVID on top of it. Then I got diabetes on top of it. Then I got sick on top of it. Then my business went down. Everything was going so lekker. I bought all those things. And then next month things went down. And now I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. Life is stressful. You don't have time for Allah. We don't have time for all these things. So this is the third weakness. This is life. Family problems, money problems, car problems. You name it. Each one of us will come here with a unique problem. This is what life is about. So now, Ya Allah, we don't understand what you are trying to say. You want to make it easy for us, and you have created us with these 3 weaknesses. So what is the wisdom of this? Already, if you think about it, you are feeling better. Why are you feeling better? Because we didn't know why we don't want to stand up for tahajjud. We didn't know why it's so hard to not look. We didn't know why. Now we know there's self-destructive mechanisms and there's all these forces against us. It's not that we don't want to obey Allah. It's just the answer is just too much. It's just way too much. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through these weaknesses, He wants to teach us a very valuable lesson. You want to perform salah. You want to perform salah. So now you want to perform tahajjud. Now you can't get up. You sleep right through Fajr. You wake up when it's duha. And you kick yourself and you're disappointed. I want to try this. I want to fast, but it's so difficult. I want to make salah when I come to the masjid. It's so difficult. The problem is you're relying upon yourself. And ourselves, we have 3 weaknesses, which we've just mentioned. So if we rely upon ourselves, we will never be able to make salah. We will never be able to give zakah. If it was not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would not even say the shahada. So we need to realize the good things that we do. It comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we need to rely on Allah. If you're finding it difficult to not look at that which is haram, stop relying upon yourself and rely upon Allah. Think of Allah constantly. If we rely on nafs, it's going to self-destruct. Rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the wisdom behind all these weaknesses, because we come to a point where we realize, Ya Allah, I can't. This stuff is way too much for me. I can't handle this. This business is drowning me. My family is drowning me. This nafs is killing me. The waswas of shaitan, he just doesn't want to stop. So now we turn to Allah, and now we start making istighfar. This is what is called tawbah. This is what is called tawbah. This is a moment that happens. It's called a turning point in the life of a believer. Many stories we can give with regards to this of the awliya. One verse, Alam ya'ni lilladhina amanu an takhsha'a qulubum li dhikrillah. Has the time not come for the hearts to become fearful of Allah? Right? When was this revealed? This wasn't revealed in Makkah. Wasn't revealed in Makkah. It was revealed in Medina. After the Sahaba were being tortured, and they made dua, and they used to cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remove this, give us strength. They used to cry. The dua was potent. Potent duas. Then they go to Medina and things are easier. Now the fear is not so much there. The tears are slightly less. And Allah says, has the time not come, O companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for your hearts to become fearful? لِذِكْرِ For the words of, for the remembrance of Allah. وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ and the Quran. And don't be like those who are given the book. We should not be like that. فَطَالَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَمَدِ And the time became too long. Then the hearts becomes hard, which is my second topic. And then the hearts has become hard. Yeah, we started Ramadan, but it's a little bit too long. So now we come slack. We started reciting half a Jews, not even in the month of Ramadan. You'll find we slack through the years. No TV. Okay, yeah, this program. No, just one program. Okay, yeah, that program also. Full-blown TV is fine. No music in the house. Okay, one song. Okay, songs. 10 years later, you're a total different person. Shaitan knew this. He had a 10-year plan for you. A 10-year plan. He rehabilitates you so you can go into the fire. Allah is trying to rehabilitate us so we can go to Jannah. Shaitan, he scares us with fear and poverty so we can walk the path and go to Jannah. May Allah protect us, Ameen. So let us realize, one story, Al-Fudail ibn Iyad, he used to be a drunkard, right? And he used to be a highway robber. He was a thief, right? He used to hijack the ones, right? By the robots. Okay, it's not actually like he used to have a sword and the travelers and everyone on a scale of Fudail ibn Iyad used to shed shivers down the spine of those traveling. And he used to also commit zina and everything under the sun. And there was one particular person he used to visit. And he told this person to come and visit you tonight. And then he jumped on the fence. Now when he was on the fence, he listened because nobody must hear him, right? So before he jumped over the fence, he heard a voice. And the person was reciting, Alam ya'ni lilladhina amanu an takhsha'a qulubum li dhikrillah. Has the time not come for the hearts to become fearful for the dhikr of Allah? And he gets a shock. Somehow it just got him off guard. And when it got him off guard, that was his turning point. And he says, Al-an. So he didn't jump on that side. He jumped back to the other side and became one of the greatest friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are looking for that moment, and it's calling out from all sides. Has the time not come, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, for our hearts to turn to Allah, for our hearts to become fearful and filled with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is what Ramadan is. So Ramadan comes as a rehabilitation and a strengthening mechanism, as a personal trainer. How? This nafs wants to eat, so constantly it's activated right through the day. Nafs say, hey, I'm hungry. And you telling the nafs, wait. Not yet. The nafs say again, I'm hungry. So not yet. Then the nafs say, look, I'm thirsty. So not yet. Look at that dalchis there. Not yet. Kusistas. Not yet. Samosas. No. Krif curry. No. What about prawns? What can I offer you? You telling that nafs, I don't care what you offer me. You'll wait. You have to wait. So this is how we learn to put and it doesn't happen once, it happens constantly through the day. And it doesn't happen one day, it happens right through the day. That is why لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so you can attain taqwa. Taqwa is attained. The secret behind taqwa is dhikrullah, remembrance of Allah. Constantly as we are fasting, we are constantly in the dhikr of Allah. That's why fasting is such a powerful mechanism. Therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, look, all the other actions are for you, but this fasting is for me. Why? Because I like this so much, I want to attach it to me. That guy is fasting and nobody can see he's fasting. He's only fasting for me. Those of you who cannot fast, by the way, if you have some diabetes or whatever, don't feel sad. It's hard for you not to fast. We know that. That's a jihad. You love fasting. You fasted all your life. Now you can't fast because of old age. This is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's hard for you not to fast, and that is your jihad. But you can fill it with other things, with dhikrullah, fill it with Quran, fill it with everything. So don't be there and be sad. This is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So that's the first weakness, and we see how Ramadan plays a very important role. The second one, I said I'm going to stop at quarter past. Can I speak another? Am I allowed to speak another couple of minutes? I need permission from the elders. Okay, it's another 10 minutes, right? My throat is dry. You guys are just sitting there and looking at me. So the second, what is that? There's nafs, yeah. I got the hectic nafs. I don't want water. I'll tell you what I want. So the next topic that I want to speak about is a hard heart. Like a hard heart. This is more of a rehabilitation and Ramadan. Actually, I missed one thing. There are three weaknesses. The one is the nafs, the other one is shaitan, the difficulties. How are we going to go through the difficulties of life? How does Ramadan play a role? So what happens is, once you strengthen the heart and it becomes filled with the dhikr of Allah. Now the dhikr of Allah puts love in your heart. The whole thing is love. If you love someone, you'll do anything for them. You leave early in the morning, come late home at night. What do you want? I'll buy that for you, it's my last, but take it. You walk into a mall, you want to keep onto your card, but she says, can I have my card? Yeah, take the card. So if you love, you'll go very far for love. Child is crying, you go get up and you want to pick up the child, drop the child at school, because you love the child. So you'll do if you don't like somebody, you do nothing. I don't need to go there. It's not wajib to go to that buka. It's not compulsory. It's not compulsory. You have plus it's tarawih tonight. We can't make it. But if you love someone, you go to the end of the earth for them. So if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll go to the end of the earth. Nothing actually hurts you. Nothing harms you when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yes, Allah took away my job, but Allah loves me. Allah could not have done this to me because He hates me. He could not have done this to punish. There must be something that I don't understand. But it's fine, because I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How are you going to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? By constantly remembering Him. And this is why Ramadan plays such a big role. Constantly reminding about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Each one of us, as we're sitting here, and those listening, we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, why are we fasting? Why must we fast? We fast because we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't do things out of fear. If you do things out of fear, you're not going to go far. I make this example constantly. If there's a snake in the masjid, like a fast snake, you're going to run to a place of safety. You might just go on top of this level, because the snake can't get you over there. But you can't get in your car and drive home, our way, and your wife was watching, there was a snake in the masjid. Why are you still rushing? No, you just run. When the safety zone, you stop running. That is why when we run to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't run out of fear. Not Allah's going to punish us if we don't make salah. Allah's going to punish us if we don't fast. No. Do things out of love. You go way further. The secret of having good children, don't hit your children if they don't know their lesson, or they don't do good. Teach them out of love. Because if they do things out of fear, they're going to bacha just because daddy said I must bacha. Daddy's gone, right though, now I can do my things. But if you love Quran, then the sky's the limit. Then just put the fish in water and watch them swim. So this is what fasting does. It creates love, and love creates taqwa. Now, okay, when is salah, we're going to make salah. What must we stay away from? We're ready now, because we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. That's a very important point. Taqwa is powered by dhikrullah. So this is how fasting rehabilitates us and prepares us. It's the personal trainer for the onslaught of the difficulties that we face. So now we can sort out all three difficulties and all three weaknesses with Ramadan. Furthermore, there's a sickness that some of us have, and we constantly need to get away from the sickness. So we know about diabetes that is going up. We know there's this type of flu that is there. Cancer is on the rise. There's various sicknesses, but there's a sickness of the heart that's on the rise as well. And this is qaswatul qalb. This is when the heart becomes hard. Very, very dangerous thing. When we don't make tawbah, right, then the heart becomes, when we commit a sin, then the Prophet ﷺ says, nukita ala al-qalb, a black spot comes in the heart. Till the black spot comes and it comes and it comes, until the heart is so black. Now that black is a covering. It's a covering over the heart. Now the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes, the remembrance of Allah, when it comes, Wasief is speaking on the mimbar and he's giving a lecture, that is nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming from his words, penetrating the hearts. It's penetrating everybody's hearts. But there's some hearts it can't penetrate. It's not penetrating. Why? Because what we did outside of the masjid is covering the heart. We look too much. We listen too much. We were speaking too much. We're in the wrong company. So the heart has become hard. So fasting comes and it takes away that covering of the heart. How does it do that? In Jannah, babun yuqalu laha ar-riyan. There's a door in Jannah, yuqalu lahu ar-riyan, that is called the Babul Rayyan. These doors of Jannah has been flung open at the beginning of Ramadan. 8 doors, 8 major doors of Jannah has been flung open. The door of Salah has been flung open. The door of Sadaqah has been flung open. The door of Sadaqah has been flung open. The door of Jihad has been flung open. The door of fasting, which is called Ar-Rayyan, Allah opens it up. He doesn't say Futihat. He says Futihat, the doors of Jannah is open. It is Allah's way in this hadith, showing the eagerness to his slave of how much he wants his slave to enter. He wants his slave to enter. Now whenever we move towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and away from sin, that is actually what tawbah is all about. So tawbah, which is moving towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can only come about if we acknowledge that we're in a very dangerous situation. Our salah is not in a good state. Our fasting is not in a good state. Reciting is not. So now we get worried. This worry that we have, that is called the awakening stage. This is the first stage of tawbah. Moving from a state of sleep to a state of awakening. So that awakening comes by the doors of Jannah being open in the month of Ramadan. The shayateen, they are locked up. This is also what helps us fight against the forces of shaitan. وَسُلْسِلَةِ الشَّيَاطِينِ وَسُفِّدَةِ الشَّيَاطِينِ. The shayateen, they are locked up, they are tired. They don't have that ability to make waswasa anymore. We can do good better now. Why? Because they can't whisper so much. We are too powerful now, we are too strong. He has to wait till the doors of Jannah closes again, until the doors of Jahannam is open. Now we can do his thing. May Allah protect us. Ameen. So when we start getting worried, this is called intibah, it's called the awakening stage. And we move away from that stage. And we look back at what we've done and we say, I was asleep. I was neglectful. I was neglectful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now I'm worried. And I need to come away. I need to make things right now, what I've made wrong in the past. So now we start looking for bonus time. So that is the hours, the early hours in the morning before Fajr, just before Maghrib. And then this great month of Ramadan, where Allah is giving free tickets of tawbah. You don't have to go through all that levels of tawbah, where you are regretful and you feel remorseful, and you go through all that. Allah just says, no, whoever stands up, Man sama Ramadan, whoever fasts in the month of Ramadan, I will forgive you. Man qama laylatul qadr, khufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi. Your sins will be forgiven. Whoever stands up at night and recites the Quran, I will forgive you. Just fast and I will forgive you. Free tickets of tawbah. So all we need to do now is to just bring the remorse afterwards and make sure that that remorse is there. Regret the sin. And when you start having this awakening stage, you're going to see 2 things. 2 major things. First, you're going to say, whoa, I've been sinning so long. I didn't make salah. I was rude to my father, rude to my mother. I don't visit my sister. I'm not speaking to my brother. I don't like that person. I'm jealous of that one. I'm hasad of this. And I'm full of kibr. And you start realizing, whoa, I'm a bad person. I need to change. But through the time that I was bad, Allah still fed me. He still gave His rizq. He never stopped. I disobeyed Allah, but He continued allowing me to see and to be healthy and to breathe. And He continuously giving me another chance. Day in and day out of Ramadan, year in and year out, Ramadan comes. So now we start feeling, what you're going to feel at that time? You start drowning in the ocean of gratitude. How do I show the gratitude for all these things. I don't know what to say anymore. Allah is just giving me and I'm giving Allah nothing in return. I'm disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we are drowned. Now we start realizing the great blessings of Allah. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. It's the first thing you realize. Try and count the blessings of Allah. Impossible. And secondly, we realize that if Allah were to punish me for all my sins, Allah is just being just. Because Allah is just. And if Allah were to reward me for my good deeds, it is only through the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing for me. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us this. Nobody's going to enter Jannah because of his actions. Only with the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you come to that realization, you start making the Sayyidul Istighfar. Abu'u laka bi ni'matika alayya. I admit your many blessings upon you. Abu'u laka bi ni'matika alayya. Wa abu'u bi dhanbi. And I come to you with my sins. That, my dear brothers, coming to Allah in weakness, now you become powerful. You go to work in a state of weakness. You get married in a state of weakness. Because now, Allah, I can't do this. I can't do this. You need to help me. Nabi Musa alayhi salam goes, stands up to Fir'aun. Nabi Musa is a powerful man. He clapped that Egyptian was dead. One clap. Right? Fir'aun, he can blow him over. He's a small man. Right? But he doesn't go with his own power. He says, no, Ya Allah, Rabbi shrah li sadri. Give me power. Expand my chest. Make my matter easy. Because he's coming to Fir'aun in weakness in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does Allah do? He empowers him. So if you're struggling, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, in whatever facet of life, let this Ramadan be your personal trainer. If you're struggling in your marriage, you tried hard, and you're failing because you're weak. So what? Turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Allah, Ya Allah, like you change the staff to a snake, like you open up the sea, like you made water gush through the water of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like you change things. Change my situation. I've done the best I can't do anything anymore. Ya Allah, my business is not doing what it's supposed to do. I'm not getting any income and I'm working so hard. I was relying upon myself. Now I'm relying upon you. Ya Allah, I try to make tawbah. I try to be a good Muslim. I try to perform salah. I even try to recite, but it's not working. Ya Allah, you give me your power and you give me your strength. With these few words, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the next couple of days better than the days that went by. Let the next couple of days be fantastic. Let it be amazing. Let we smell the fragrances of Jannah. Let we taste the flavors of Jannah. Let we enjoy our ibadah. May Allah grant us the strength and the health and everything we need to walk through this month into the door of Jannah known as باب الريان وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
We say Jazakumullah khairan to Sheikh Moulana Wasief the Vries on a very inspirational talk. MashaAllah, Moulana the Vries, as I said, is the author of The Lantern. This book can be purchased after, in a short while, inshallah. You can meet me outside at the masjid. And I think Moulana the Vries is leaving a box with us, inshallah. So those who'd like to make a purchase a bit later or after Taraweeh Salah, inshallah, that is The Lantern. It's an Islamic approach to mental health, inshallah. And next week we'll have Sheikh, I think it's Sheikh Muhammad West, inshallah, and followed by the Habib Ahmed Al-Qaf, which will be, if there is a fifth talk, which will be on the Sunday, it will be Habib Ahmed Al-Qaf and Sheikh Muhammad West next week. Wa akhir da'wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.